Weakness Break is one of the most important mechanics in the game that can single-handedly decide what your team is going to look like going into boss fights, Simulated Universe, and Forgotten Hall. Every enemy has a certain amount of toughness, and by attacking them with whatever element they are weak to, they will eventually lose all of their toughness and get weakness broken. Weakness Break will apply massive amounts of damage and delay the enemy's action when applied. Depending on what element you Weakness Break with, you will also gain a unique effect. In this video, I will explain what every element does when they Weakness Break, and what characters I think are especially notable at Weakness Breaking for their element. Weakness Break Physical. Using physical attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal physical damage, and apply Bleed Effect, dealing physical damage over time. As for the characters, Trailblazer Physical is good at breaking through an enemy's toughness, and most notably can even Weakness Break through a group of enemies with her AoE skill and ultimate. Weakness Break Ice. Using ice attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal ice damage and freeze the target, immobilizing the enemy and dealing additional ice damage. As for characters, Yanqing and March 7th are both very good. Yanqing can attack several times quickly, melting through enemy toughness, while March 7th is able to use her skill to counterattack multiple times. She also has AoE that can break through a lot of enemies' toughness at the same time. Weakness Break Wind. Using wind attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal wind damage and apply the wind shear effect, dealing wind damage over time. As for characters, Sampo is pretty good at melting toughness, but if you don't want to use him, Dan Heng is your next best bet. Weakness Break Fire. Using fire attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal fire damage and apply the burn effect, dealing fire damage over time. As for characters, Asa is by far the best at melting through the toughness of enemies with fire weakness. Her skill can proc on multiple targets, but really excels when she only has one target and can get all 5 procs for skill to hit. I have yet to see another character in general match Asa's toughness breaking potential. Weakness Break Lightning. Using lightning attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal lightning damage and apply the shock effect, dealing lightning damage over time. As for characters, Serval has the easiest time dealing lightning damage to multiple enemies, but Arlen is also a good choice. Weakness Break Quantum. Using quantum attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal quantum damage and apply entanglement, which delays the enemy's action, and at the start of the next turn deals additional quantum damage to the affected enemy. When the enemy is hit, this additional damage will increase. As for characters, Seela is vastly better than Qingxue, but Qingxue can apply quantum damage as an AoE, so that's pretty useful. And finally, Weakness Break Imaginary. Using imaginary attacks to trigger Weakness Break will deal imaginary damage and apply imprisonment. Imprisoned enemies suffer from delayed actions and speed reduction. As for characters, well. And that is everything you need to know about Weakness Break. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it to your friends, ask questions in the comments below, or Discord, which will be up eventually, and maybe streams are coming in the future. I will be making more guides to help you succeed in Honkai Star Rail, so make sure to come back tomorrow, and until then, see you later.